Criminal scammer used an elaborate scheme to try to steal a landlord's property. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of Florida, and it has to do with somebody who filed some false paperwork in an attempt to try to steal a landlord's property. So the scammer in this situation actually was caught, but it brings up some good points, and these are little hints that I like to throw out there for landlords to look out for. Okay, so there are these people out there right now, and they just want to try to steal your property, sell them so they can make as much money as they can, and then run away, leaving you in financial ruin. Okay, so I don't like this sort of thing, but we have to really read about it. We have to know about it in order to put preventative measures up there to stop it. Okay. So I don't know what exactly could have been done in this specific situation to have stopped it, because the rules in the state of Florida actually are what allowed the tenant, or not the tenant, but the scammer. Sorry, I mix those two words up sometimes, but allowed the scammer to attempt to take this property, right? So I'm going to explain the whole thing in just one moment. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I've asked this question before a long time ago, but have you ever had any issues with somebody trying to, commit title fraud against you, or try to file paperwork against your property, maybe a false lien or a quit claim deed, trying to take control of your property? I've heard of these issues before, but I've never personally experienced, thank goodness. But I feel bad for any landlord who has to go through this nonsense. So the more properties you own, obviously, the more likely something like this is going to happen. And so for all of us landlords out there, this is a constant threat, okay? So anyway, let's get into this article. This article is coming from yahoo.com, and it says, Pasco County man faces charges for trying to sell a home that wasn't his. Whew, let's get into it. In 2015, Lisa Tamplin bought a house from a friend with the intention to rent it out. The extra income would help her care for her ill mother. Like many landlords, she created a corporation to manage the property. Her plan worked without a hitch until this summer, when a stranger filed false documents to try and claim ownership of her business and in turn take the home. Tamplin was dumbfounded. I've had everything happen to me as a landlord through all these years, but this was a first, she said. Officials say this type of crime is rare, but the plot exposes a loophole in the state's business filing system that could leave property owners vulnerable. So there's a loophole in the Florida system where anybody can go in there without any sort of documentation and let me continue with the article, because they explain it a little bit better than I can. In June, Gary Kickery filed paperwork with the Florida Division of Corporations that removed Tamplin as the head of the corporation she created and named himself the new officer. The Division of Corporations record-keeping system, SunBiz, allows anyone to make these changes with little verification. After falsely claiming control of Tamplin's business, Kickery filed a quitclaim deed, effectively handing over the property to himself, according to court records. So the way I read it, right, is that basically he filed paperwork with the state of Florida saying that, hey, this business, it's under me. I'm the owner of this business now, right? And the state of Florida doesn't have any verification for when a business changes ownership like that. So, it's a really kind of screwed up thing with the state of Florida, and I don't know exactly how it works in other states, right? But there should be some sort of verification in place, okay? And there just isn't. So it enabled him to, put himself as the owner of this business, and then any property that was owned by the business, right? Basically, he did a quitclaim deed to himself, saying, "Oh, I own the business. I'm I'm going to sign this property over to myself." See, and that's the problem, right? People who are scammers, they know how to exploit these sort of laws. So if your state is similar to the state of Florida, I'm telling you right now, watch out, because the same thing could happen to you. And people who are in Florida right now, be very, very careful. You have to really watch out for this sort of thing. And in the case of a property owner who maybe owns just one or two properties, it might benefit you to just have those properties under your personal name rather than under an LLC, because this isn't even possible if it's under your personal name, because they have to get certain paperwork notarized and etc. And well, I'm not saying that it's not possible for them to steal your property. Obviously there are notaries who aren't doing their job correctly. There's also notaries who are doing things that are questionable, and they could still get the notarized paperwork and attempt to steal your property, whether it's under your name or not. But it would provide a little bit more security than just this no verification system that Florida has set up right now. At that point, he could have sold the property or taken out a mortgage on the home, said Matt Widener, the attorney representing Tamplin in a civil case against Kickery. The only reason this guy got caught is because there was an unsatisfied lien on the house, he said. When Kickery tried to sell the home, the title company contacted the lien holder, who happened to know my client. After catching wind of his alleged scheme, Tamplin confronted Kickery at his home. So he screwed up, basically, right? The title company immediately is going to notify all the people who have liens on the property, right? And most notably, that's going to be the bank. Okay, they're going to notify the bank, hey, this person's selling the property here. And they're going to contact me, because they'll be like, hey, this guy doesn't own the property. You do. Where's our money? The bank wants their money. So, in this case, the property looks like it wasn't sold, but this could have ended up pretty bad if the landlord actually owned this property outright, had paid for it in cash. After catching wind of his alleged scheme, Tamplin confronted Kickery at his home. He admitted to everything, she said. He felt that he did nothing wrong. Tamplin filed suit on September 30th, asking the judge to quiet title and name her the home's rightful owner. Nearly a month later, the Pasco County Sheriff's Office arrested Kickery. He faces charges of grand theft and unlawful filing of false documents. In a letter responding to Tamplin's lawsuit, Kickery said he researched the property and thought it had been abandoned since the corporation that owned it had failed to pay its annual fees with the state. Now, that's a bunch of garbage, okay? I've owned an LLC before, and I did not file, my paperwork with the state one year. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden, well, that means that anybody can take it, okay? Obviously, the sheriff's office knows that's a bunch of garbage too, because they're filing charges against this guy. Okay, this guy, he's just a plain scammer using excuses, trying to go circumvent the law, steal other people's properties. Give me a break. This guy, hopefully he gets some nice criminal charges, he gets convicted of some good criminal charges, does some jail time, because how are you going to teach a guy like this a lesson without hard punishment? I called the Florida Division of Corporations and was told that I could take over any corporation that was administratively dissolved for greater than 1 year. I was told I must be willing to pay the back penalties and bring it current, and so long as I didn't sign any other name but my own, he wrote. I followed their instructions to the letter and proceeded to pay the back penalties and fees associated with bringing the corporation current. It was my belief that I now owned the corporation and the assets it held, the house in question. See, and that's what his problem was, right? You might own, the name of the corporation, but you don't own its assets, okay? Its creditors own its assets. Its rightful owners own their, he made a lot of stupid assumptions, and now he's going to pay the price. And to me, it sounds like this guy's really just a scammer, okay? He's not actually, some innocent victim like he's claiming to be. He's full of crap, and, he tried to take advantage of this landlord. He's paying the price. And, I've heard of ridiculous scammers like this before, and there's all sorts of people out there, like those people who find those jurisdictions that have those squatters' rights laws, and they're like, oh, if I just stay in this house for a long enough period of time, then I can just take ownership. Shut up, okay? Go buy a house like a normal person. Stop trying to steal something that doesn't belong to you, okay? Why do so many people think that they need something for free? Okay, you can start your own business. You can buy your own real estate. Why are you trying to steal someone else's? Goodness, man, these people are just so frustrating. When asked what the Division of Corporations was doing to vet bad actors and prevent these types of crimes, spokesperson Catherine Brumley said that the agency acts in an administrative filing capacity only. We do not have statutory authority to regulate individual businesses, nor do we have investigative capability, she said. Tamplin said stronger oversight of the Sunbiz system could help protect business owners like herself. My signature should have been required somewhere, and it wasn't, she said. Yeah, and she's right, okay? There should have been some kind of signature or some, like there are so many ways to verify, before you change ownership of a corporation over, there's so many things that can be done. And it just doesn't make sense to me, okay? So obviously this guy, he's going to be facing these criminal charges. We're going to see what happens in the future. Watch out for this sort of thing as a landlord. If you are owning an LLC, it looks like, the place where this guy was able to slip in there was the fact that, she hadn't renewed she hadn't kept her corporation current, right? And if she had done that, then he wouldn't have been able to come in there with this scam.